Hello YouTube. Hello YouTube. This is Killerninja1234. Now, I just recently found out about the game called Undertale, which is why I'm going to be reacting to a video based on the game. I've played through the game and it's a very intriguing game. I've played both the pacifist and genocide routes. And it was hard. It took me about a day to complete the genocide route with just Sans' battle because he's so overpowered. But anyway, enough of that said. I love the game, and I want to know what he has to say about Undertale. So let's get right to it.
Can you imagine a world where we're all represented by a font?
Let's just get a little bit ahead.
With old Calibri 11. And with that, well, they're to grind fodder has a sympathetic design and unique personality, motivations, goals, fears. Whether you're saving or slaughtering them, the game makes you feel something every time you enter an encounter. But to me, one character stood out amongst all the rest. Sans. A skeleton named after the font, Comic Sans.
Because he can go from one spot to another. He'll go left and he'll end up to the right. It's
weird opening.
Really weird.
Sans is, well, there's a lot of mystery around this guy. And before we get into it, let me put up a very special spoiler warning.
Spoiler.
Undertale is a game best experienced blind.
Which I did. I started the video before.
After you finish.
And I'm going to continue it.
I promise you won't regret it. Alright, so everyone out of the pool and ready for the adult swim? Good. Because I'm feeling pretty determined to get to the bottom of
all these
So just to recap, for
determination.
those of you who haven't played the game and ignored the spoiler warning or just need a refresher, Sans is one of the two skeletal brothers who appear in the game. His partner is Papyrus, a loud, goofy trap lover also named after a font. But in the world of Undertale, their origins are a big question mark. All that we really know is what's given to us by a shopkeeper in Snowden, who explains that Sans and Papyrus, quote, just showed up one day and asserted themselves. Weird. Right? What's more is that, while Papyrus is just kind of the goofy sidekick, Sans is much more complex. Sure, he likes fart jokes, but he's also incredibly powerful and deadly serious. Not only is his boss battle the hardest in the game, he's one of the only characters to have knowledge.
It took forever, and he's the only one that dodges.
He often takes shortcuts around the world through ridiculous routes, even walking through walls. He also acknowledges that he's only one of infinite versions of himself, making self-aware commentary of the various timelines that you've played through in the game. He can even count the number of times he's killed you.
That I want to know about.
This world, passing out judgment on the player's actions in the game, even explaining the secrets of EXP and love, or execution points and levels of violence, just to clarify. In short, he just doesn't quite fit in with the rest of the world of monsters. But then what? Or who is he? Well, the idea that he doesn't belong in Underworld seems to be correct. The evidence seems to point to the fact that he was, in fact, formerly a surface dweller. In the true pacifist ending of the game, as the group looks out onto the horizon, Papyrus asks Sans about the giant ball in the sky. Sans says, quote, "We call that the sun."
I never noticed that. They're supposedly brothers. But Papyrus himself doesn't know what the sun is. He also then wants to make a good first impression. But then Sans goes back. But then later on, after that, if you get the perfect ending, or a certain ending, you'll see Sans somewhere in that ending. I remember him before. But I never noticed that Sans knew what the sun was, where Papyrus wasn't. I never actually thought that one fully through. I never focused on that. So anyway, let's get back to it.
This is important because A, the usage of the word we and knowledge of the sun shows that Sans has a kinship or knowledge with other humans, and B, that despite he and Papyrus both being skeletons, are supposedly brothers, and apparently appear in the world at the same time, they clearly have two very different theories. Why would Papyrus not know the name of the sun, but Sans would?
Exactly.
Sans' origin, as we hear him say multiple times that he wants to go home, or go back. He says as much during his dinner date scene at the Metaton Hotel. He notices that the player must want to go home and says, quote, "I know the feeling." He then
I never noticed that.
Maybe sometimes it's better to take what's given to you, as though he ended up in Underworld by accident. And in a genocide run during his boss fight, he says, quote, "Look, I gave up trying to go back a long time ago. End quote. And before you say he means going back to the surface world, that's clearly not the full story. His very next line of dialogue is, and getting to the surface doesn't really appeal anymore either. The key word here is either. Yes,
wait, hold on. Let me go back a little bit.
Doesn't really appeal anymore either.
And getting to the surface, he says he wants to go home. He doesn't really focus on going home anymore. And the surface doesn't appeal anymore either. So where is his home? What is his home? And is it on the surface? Because if it's not on the surface, then where else is it? Because it's got to be on Earth, on this planet in the game. We still not. I'm pretty sure it's Earth, but I'm not sure. But if his home is not on the surface, then it must be in the underground. But he doesn't really focus on wanting to get back there anymore. So what does he really mean by that? I wonder if he'll answer that.
Key word here is either. Yes, he seems to hail from the surface and wants to go back, but based on his dialogue, he no longer considers it his home. It's as though the surface world he once knew is gone, as though he's from a different time. It's pretty intriguing. So we're left with a being that appeared out of nowhere, presumably from the human surface, but from a different time period, who seemingly has the power to teleport.
Time travel?
That's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers.
Time travel?
But here's where things get really
I gotta go back, Marty.
Sans has a hidden workshop that takes a fair amount of searching to find. You could say it takes
a lot of determination
to unlock. Anyway, obligatory determination references aside, as you start to look for this Easter egg, Sans gives you a key to his room with the words, "It's time you learn the truth." After some searching, you find the workshop, which contains items that leave even more questions. A photo album featuring Sans and a bunch of smiling people you don't recognize, a badge, blueprints with illegible handwriting, and a broken machine hidden behind.
I recognize that handwriting. I don't remember where. I've played a lot of games, but I don't exactly remember where from at all.
Behind a curtain. In the latest update, one more detail was added. A hand-drawn picture of 3 smiling faces with the words, "Don't forget." So what's it all mean? Well, a lot of Undertale theorists have been linking these details to a mysterious figure named W.D. Gaster.
I've heard theories about this
song. Never truly appears in the game. Honestly, covering him is a theory all unto itself, and probably one best saved for another day. Even still, none of the Gaster theories I've seen have been able to explain all the details. In particular, the photo album and the badge. And that's what kept
I don't understand that. Badge. What is the focus of
that? That one in particular really
so
stuck out to me. Why would such an oddly specific item be included in this huge Easter egg of a room? Something that supposedly reveals the truth about Sans. Badges just aren't important in Undertale. And then it hit me. What if it wasn't from Undertale?
Gameception?
What if this badge was from a completely different game and was, in fact, the most important badge in the history of gaming? The Franklin badge. Now, for those of you wondering what I'm talking about, the Franklin badge is a pivotal item from the Mother series. You know, the one with Earthbound. Or maybe you don't know that one either. You know, the one that Ness from Super Smash Bros. Yeah, well, Ness is from Earthbound, and Earthbound is the second part in this larger Mother trilogy. Alright? Good. Anyway, the Franklin badge is a really important part of that series. It gets to start in the very first game and carries through the whole trilogy, saving your life multiple times in the process. It's so important that Nintendo has made it a staple item in the Smash Brothers series. So I asked myself, what if the badge in Sans' drawer was that exact badge? Well, first off, it'd make Undertale connected to my favorite game, thereby making it even cooler. But that's still a big logical leap.
Freezing it.
More. Let me tell you, as I started looking, more and more pieces started to fit into place. At the end of Earthbound, you're given a photo album covering your adventures throughout the game. To me, it's one of the best, most satisfying endings in gaming.
The photo album with Smile Who You Don't Remember.
What does Sans happen to have in his other drawer? A photo album filled with pictures of Sans with people you don't recognize.
So is Sans Ness?
They're not characters present in Undertale. And note the word that's used here. People you don't recognize, not underworld monsters. So that's 2 of them.
Well, I have to stop this here. I'm going to make a second part to this. But anyway, this is Killerninja1234. Thank you for seeing this video. If you liked content, hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in a later episode. I'll probably upload this after the other one. But in a few seconds, it'll turn off. So, goodbye, YouTube.